10. Chapter 10 is all about the chemical, the reaction rate. But what is the reaction rate? The reaction rate basically is the amount or the change in the concentration over time. Some reactions have lower rate, some reactions have higher rate, and we will discuss all of this um, in general. Equilibrium. Equilibrium um, is another definition. Today we will learn actually many new definitions. So equilibrium is a state where the both the reactants and the products have the same reaction rate. So when the reaction rate actually become between the products and reactants become stable, then we have equilibrium. Any chemical reaction, we usually have A plus B. Oops, sorry. I didn't turn it off. Interesting. So back to what we were talking about, reaction rate is the concentration over time until the reaction reach equilibrium where both reactants and products have no tendency to actually make more products. So everything is stopped. Any reaction is basically any chemical reaction, as we learned before. A plus B give you C or C plus D. We call this reactants. We call these products. Some reaction are called reversible. Reversible. Reversible reaction is a reaction that A plus B equals C plus D. We call we call um, we call this one the forward reaction, and that one is the reverse reaction. So this one is the forward, that one is the reverse. So when reactants interact together to form products, this is a forward reaction. When products, after they are formed, are not stable enough to stay as products, then we call this reaction as a reverse reaction. The whole type of reaction, when there is two arrows in the equation, we call this reversible reaction. Any reaction to happen, there are three major things that has to happen in any reaction. The first is collision. The second, orientation. The third is inertia. For any reaction to happen, molecules of the reactants has to bump into each other. has to bump into each other in a collision process. And then to bump into each other, they have to be actually in the same orientation. And then to start a reaction, they have to have an energy called activation energy. To start any reaction. I will show you here. So as you can see here, those are some reactions, and we need to figure out which one will actually happen and which one will not be happen and why. So this is the reactants between nitrogen and oxygen, and they have to be in this specific orientation, okay, and they have to colloid to each other, and they have to have an activation energy to start the reaction. And then when this happens, they give two molecules of sodium monoxide, nitrogen monoxide. Okay, so this is the major reaction or the correct reaction. All the conditions are here. So what we need to know now to compare is those three reactions. We'll go one by one and see test the conditions: collision, orientation, and energy. So here, those two are the correct orientation, but there is no, this yellow is the collision, so there is no actually collision. So the products are not correct. It's not the correct product. Here, they do have energy, you can see, and the orientations, but the orientation is not correct. So also they didn't get the correct product. Here, same thing, the orientation is not correct. So you get different products. So it's very important to apply all three conditions. What is the activation energy? Activation energy is the energy needed to move to start a reaction. The energy needed to start a reaction. If we have, for example, this is the reaction, the progress of the reaction, and this is the energy. And here, the reactants, they do have energy, and then they will start the reaction, go to the maximum, and then after a while, there will not be enough molecules, and then they will go down. So here, these are the reactants. Here, these are the products. Okay. The energy from here all the way to here is called the activation energy. And you can see here the graph, as I told you, and this is the activation energy. The energy needed for the reactants to reach the maximum or to break down the bonds of the atoms of the reactants so they can actually start the reaction. There are factors affecting on any reaction. So there are different factors affecting on any reaction. The first one is the temperature. So factors affecting on rate of the reaction. R1 temperature effects on the rate of the reaction. 2, concentration of the reactants. 3, if there is any catalyst. So for the temperature, basically, again, keep in mind always at the background that any reaction, for any reaction to happen, they have to be in the correct orientation, they have to have energy, and they have to colloid into each other or bump into each other. So always keep this in mind. So, but if we increase the temperature, what do you think will happen? Think about it. Pause the video and think about it when you increase the the temperature. When you increase the temperature, what happens is the reactants will start actually having more energy. And when they have more energy, they will bump into each other more. And then the reaction will actually um, uh, uh, keep going faster, and then the rate will increase. Rate of reaction increase. So increasing the temperature will increase the rate of the reaction. Decreasing the temperature will decrease the rate of the reaction, and so on and so on. Okay. For the concentration, again, keep in mind always the idea, the 3 conditions for any reaction to happen. So concentration of the reactants. So let's say that we have here only 2 molecules. The first experiment, we will have 2 molecules. Second experiment, we will have 4 molecules, or even 6 reactants. Okay, and then the reaction will happen, and then what do you think will happen? Also pause the video and then just try to think about it. So what will happen is here both reactions will go on, but this one, the probability of collision is very low. So the amount of the product will be low, and the rate of the reaction will be small or low as well. But when you increase the number of the reactants with molecules, which means the number of the concentration of the reactants, they are, you have in the test tube lots of molecules of the reactants, so they will bump into each other more. The probability will be more, and the time will be faster, and so this reaction here will actually the rate of the reaction will actually also increase. So increasing the concentrations of the reactant will actually increase the rate of the reaction. The third condition is the catalyst, the presence of catalyst. So the presence of catalyst is number 3. What is catalyst? There are chemical catalysts and biological catalysts. The chemical catalysts, just chemicals that you added to the reaction, and these catalysts help in speeding up the reaction. I will talk about it, how it happens and why now. Biological catalysts usually